All right, everybody, it's Rick Bozich here at Crawford. We have just watched a Louisville NC State thriller. Louisville wins it with defense. As I've said before on our streaming webcast Overtime twice a week on WDRB Plus, download it. This is what we all expected, right? Defense, good tackling, running game. They didn't even have the running game tonight, Rick Bozich, but a huge win for Louisville, regardless of the manner. This was a big deal for Louisville football win this game tonight.
Absolutely. You're playing a team that had only lost 3 home games in the last 3 seasons, 2 of them to ranked teams. You're playing a team that shut you out in the first half, loud crowd noise. You're playing on a night when you made some costly turnovers and a couple bad penalties, and you win the game 13-10 on a 53-yard field goal. You make a clutch interception late in the game. You're the first 5-0 team in the country. You're 3-0 in the league with 2 road wins. I don't know what more you could ask for.
No, not a whole lot. And as we look at this game, just it did not start well for anybody. I'll go through what I thought my takeaways were, and you'll have your takeaways, obviously. But, I think, number one, we're both going to point out the defense and how tough the defense was tonight. But I thought the big thing was resilience in every phase. Defense didn't need it quite so much, but they had to kind of bounce back from mistakes that the offense made. There were mistakes in special teams. Brock Travelstead's first 2 punts were not good at all, and all he does is come back and, he misses an early 52-yard field goal, and it's not a great special teams first half, and all he does is come back and win the game. He hits a 53-yard field goal. It's a U of L record. There's never been a longer field goal. All the great kickers Louisville's had, and he hits a 53-yarder to win it, and it's pretty amazing. And he's the hero for this game, Travelstead. But he's not the only one who had to be resilient. I think the offense had to be resilient. I think it was not a great game for Plummer by any stretch of the imagination. I think we saw him turn the ball over 3 times, but he made enough plays and enough deep throws for Louisville to win. So I think in the end, when I look at that, you got to win on an off night, and that's what Louisville did. It's important to be able to do that. This was a good team. This was by far the best team Louisville's played yet, and they did that. Those were my takeaways, but I know you got your own.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give a lot of credit to the defense. Let's remember, this is a defense that gave up 28 points in the second quarter of the season against Georgia Tech. And if you go back and read Twitter from that night, there's got to be a lot of embarrassed people now.
Read Twitter from tonight, but not about the defense, yeah.
But about the defense, though, questioning Ron English, questioning Mark Hagan, questioning a lot of things. Let's also remember 2 years ago, the same quarterback, Brandon Armstrong, picked Louisville apart. I think he threw for over 400 yards. Tonight he was 13 for 25 for 112 yards. He looked like he didn't know where the pressure was coming from and wanted to tuck the ball and run with it as much as he could, and he did. He ran. He had more running attempts, 17, than he had completions, 13. But they never really let him break any long ones. The longest running play Louisville gave up was 13 yards. The longest pass play, only one was more than 20 yards. So the defense was phenomenal. Kept them in the game, and even the last 3 points they gave up was because of the offense giving them the ball in Louisville's territory.
Right. And the defense came up big on those turnovers because of those 2 turnovers in Louisville's territory or right by it. They only gave up 3 points there at the end of the first half. So that was a big deal. We look at the stats of this game. This is not the kind of game that you expect from a Louisville offense. But they still run up 306 yards, but they hold NC State to 201, only 115 of that in the second half. Plummer, not his best night. He still threw for 286 on a night when Louisville couldn't run the ball. So, again, very resilient night for Louisville.
Yeah, I mean, that's the second takeaway I was going to have is just I was surprised at the lack of the running game for the Cards. They only ran the ball for 20 yards. I can't remember the last time they had a game like that. Jawar Jordan, the leading rusher in the ACC, held to 32 yards on 16 carries. A little bit concerning as they move forward against some of the teams, but you win the game. You find a way to overcome that, and there's going to be 2 or 3, 4 games in the season that are games that can go either way. And Louisville's had 3 of those games this year. One was Georgia Tech. They won by rallying in the second half. The second one was Indiana, where they stopped them on the goal line and didn't let Indiana tie the game in the fourth quarter. They won that one, and this is the third one. So making winning plays at winning times, that's the way you can elevate yourself from a good season to a very good season to a great season. And now they're creating the buzz that we talked about hypothetically before the season. If they could get to 5-0 when Notre Dame comes to town, well, it already is a sellout. They'll have a better record in the game than Notre Dame. And next Saturday night will probably be it's got to be the most magical night in Louisville football since Florida State came here in Lamar Jackson's sophomore year.
Yeah, and let's not forget, you could have added a touchdown to this. I mean, you could have substituted one of the field goals a touchdown for. I thought that was a touchdown catch that they did not get credit for in the second half. And the other touchdown catch is by this guy. Look at this guy, Chris Bell. Who's going to take the ball away from him? I took this in practice before the season, but you're not going to, in a tie ball, he comes down and out wrestles a defender for the ball. Pretty impressive touchdown, even the one they did score.
Yeah, he made a great catch. The NC State guy tried to take it away from him. In the end, he might have, but he had already had established possession on the ground. I agree with you. The one corner, that was a tough one. They both kind of had the ball. I heard the ESPN rules official saying the NC State guy really should have been credited for the interception because his foot touched the ground first. They ended up calling it an incomplete pass. So in some ways, they're better off that it wasn't called, that interception for sure. And I also thought they got a favorable break on the running into the kicker play. I wasn't sure that was really a penalty late in the game, but they got that flag.
They did, and that was a big deal in this game. I guess the big question now, and the last thing we'll talk about here tonight anyway, is when those rankings come out on Monday, is Louisville in them, given the way they won this game, which wasn't the offensive explosion maybe that everybody expected. But, is this a team that you think will be ranked somewhere when Notre Dame comes to town next week?
It's hard. They're tied for 28th, so that means there's 22. Three teams have to fall back for them to go ahead. Some people will give them credit for winning this game, and they'll look at the 5-0 record, and they're the first place team in the ACC and say they deserve to be ranked. But it's going to depend on who loses, ahead of them, and how much they lose by. But if they're not ranked, they're not going to go down. So then they'll be at least, 27th or 26th, I would think at this point. And we all know. We assume a couple of ranked teams will lose, especially if they're team you and I have to win this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to be ranked. I think, their efficiency rankings are going to go down after this. They're not going to have those power rankings on offense like they did coming into this game. But I think they sneak in, especially with Notre Dame coming to town and things like that. I think people pay a little more attention. This wasn't the dominant Louisville performance, but again, Friday night on the road, this was an amped up opponent. It was a stadium that was a concern in this. They did sell it out, so it was a blackout and all of that stuff. Win tonight when they honor Bill Cowher, to win it with defense the way they did, that's fitting.
Yeah, it was. It was an impressive win. I mean, when you've won 3 games like that in a row, it does show good coaching. That you got guys who believe in what you're trying to do. They don't lose their poise. They don't turn on the offense, doesn't turn on the defense. The defense doesn't turn on the offense. And twice now they've come back being down at halftime to win on the road. That's impressive.
Yeah, and what did Brom say? He just wants his team to play harder than the other team, to play smarter than the other team, and all tougher than the other team. And they were tougher, and they played hard. They didn't always play smart. But some nights you beat yourself and still win, and this was that kind of night for Louisville. So we're going to talk more. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this game coming up next week is so big. I mean, this is the game you get every recruit who's high on your priority list and say, hey, watch this. We're going to be playing on national TV Saturday night against Notre Dame. And, they're going to be, what do we already – they're a 6.5-point underdog. That's what we were hearing early.
DraftKings.
But I got a text from a friend of mine who works in Las Vegas as an odds maker last night, saying that the script has flipped, where that Louisville's currently favored by 3 against Kentucky in the game-ending series.
Oh, wow. Well,
season-ending series. How about that?
Yeah, and how about, Kentucky's game tomorrow having maybe some bearing on whether Louisville's ranked? Because Kentucky's poised to move in too. So,
or Florida. If Florida loses, they could drop out of the top 25.
Yeah. So anything can happen. It's a fun time of year. It's fun to cover college football that matters, and we're getting ready to have a stretch where we cover a lot of that. So that's going to be fun. But we'll wrap it up. Look, you can hear plenty of us. We have a twice a week webcast overtime. You can get that at WDRB Plus. Download the app. You can get on your phone, your iPad, your smart TV. There's probably other ways to get it too. Who knows? But we'll be doing that. We'll be WDRB News. Read Rick's column at WDRB.com. Thanks for watching us here on Rapid Reaction.
See you in the morning, Eric.
Yes, sir. Bright and early.
All right. All right. Bye-bye.